Thank you.
The councillors and staff and those joining online and in the public gallery today. We begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today and pay our respects to their elders, past and present. We extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders people today. I will read the prayer. Almighty God, we humbly beseech your blessing on the council, direct and prosperous deliberation for the welfare of the people of the Moyne Shire. Amen. Amen. Do we have any apologies today?
Mr. Mayor, Councillor Purcell was meant to join online. Have we heard from him?
I haven't heard.
So do we take that as an apology or do we wait to see what happens?
Through you, Mayor, I think we'll wait a little bit longer to see if he can join. Otherwise, we will note that he's not present at this meeting.
Okay, so
Thank you. Are there any declarations of interest? If not, the confirmation of the minutes. I call for a mover to confirm the minutes of the ordinary council meeting held on the 19th of December 2023. Would somebody like to move that that is a fair and accurate record of the meeting held on that date, please? Speaker mover, please. Councillor Foster. A seconder, please. Councillor Gleeson. Any discussion? If not, those in favour, for, against, carried 6-0. I call for a motion to suspend standing orders to hear the public participants. Who would like to move that? Councillor Gleeson. Seconded by Councillor Foster. Those in favour, for, carried. Thank you. I call on Mr. Peter Roysland to speak. Thanks. You have 5 minutes and we'll give you notification at 4 minutes.
Can I sit up there or?
Yes, sorry, yes.
My hearing isn't the greatest, so it's just here. Thank you.
Yeah. Sorry, Mr. 5 minutes and we'll...
Yeah, no, I'd be lucky to go 5 minutes.
Thank you.
Just to preempt what I'm about to say, last time I spoke to this Shire was via Zoom, and it's to do with original submissions on Riverfront. And at that time, I was asked, was I against progress, which I thought was a bit in your face sort of thing. And I thought about it afterwards, and I thought, well, if I had a commercial interest in Port Fairy, I'd be very for progress. But as a resident, I'm also progress, but I wanted progress for residents, not just commercial interests. And that led me to bring up what I'm bringing up today. In 2012, Port Fairy received an award for the world's most livable community, and it was based on 5 criteria, 2 of which were communication and infrastructure. And while there's no doubt that Rivers Run proposal will benefit the developers and local business groups, I have yet to see any evidence at all of the benefits that will accrue to the existing residents as a result of this proposal. I only see negative outcomes for residents. By this, I mean the potential erosion of our existing community infrastructure and facilities. Areas such as preschools, town parking, medical and hospital facilities, sewerage, power, utilities, public transport, and telecommunications, just to name a few. Now, I haven't seen any evidence of it. So I went to some of these organisations and said, have you been approached by the Shire about what the impact of all these people coming in? Not one that I spoke to said they had. And I thought, well, hang on, that's just normal procedure as far as I'm concerned. I can give you an example of if you wanted them, of how it affects power, for instance. We went to put extra electrical equipment on our property in the CBD. We were told we couldn't because the power load, the system was already up to its maximum. That's just an example. And I don't see any reference to potential opportunity costs associated with this proposal, both to the Shire itself and to the town's residents. I see all the good things, and I know it's going to happen. And I accept that. But what, for instance, the potential opportunity costs associated for both the Shire and the residents. If you leave aside the potential for legal future claims for flooding, etc., which is not me, I expect the Shire will incur additional costs, incremental and both fixed and incremental, with the establishment, servicing, and the upkeep of roads and paths, which I will assume will put additional pressure on the Shire's already pressurised, Shire's already scarce resources. And the flow of the flow-on effect to ratepayers, I suspect, is rates going up because we've got more facilities we have to cater for, and the erosion of Shire services, or the existing ones' performance. In short, I was disappointed that the proposal for developments that involve increasing population depth in our town did not include details as to the potential impact on existing residents and plans together. When I see a plan coming forward, I would like to see also included in those plans addressing the issues that I've just raised. What impacts are going to have here, there, and the various essential facilities in our Shire. So I know it hasn't been done now, and I'm hoping that any future proposals, whoever puts the plans up, will have what the impact will be a bit transparent and say, hey, look, your broadband broadbits might go down, you might have a bit of buffering.
4 minutes, Peter.
It's over. Oh, 4 minutes.
It's 1 minute.
Anyway, I would just so originally I was against progress, but I wasn't. But as a resident, I can't see any positive things out of this, only negatives, and I'd like to see those negatives addressed when a proposal is put forward, not just taken for granted that the residents agree. I haven't struck one resident that isn't upset about the 600 extra people. It's not them coming in, it's the impact it'll have. Where we're going to park, it's worse than it is now. The medical facilities, I'll have to go out to Macarthur more often and see a doctor rather than see them in Port Fairy. It's just those little things. But I've yet to see evidence that whoever's doing this has planned for. And so I think tried to do a really good job in general, but I just think they've missed a few points on this one, or not Shire itself, but Shire proposal. But thank you anyway, folks, for listening to me and to my grump.
Thank you very much for your presentation, Peter, and thanks for
taking
your time. Any questions of Mr. Roisland? Yeah. Oh, sorry, Councillor Lockett.
Thank you, Mayor, and thanks for your presentation. I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person today. Ironically, I'm back here in Port Fairy. My question is to Ms. McNamara regarding the questions that you put forward today. Well, one point you said 600 people, and I was wondering where you got that.
No, it's 60. So I mistake the 600 people. I thought it was about 200 to 250, maybe 300 actually, in 60 whatever houses. You'd have to double it, and they may have children.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'd refute that. Do we have a rough estimate, Ms. McNamara, on the amount of people that could potentially live? I mean, you couldn't give an exact figure.
You should be asking the planners.
Sorry, I am asking the planner.
Oh, big part. Yep.
Ms. McNamara.
Through you, Mayor, and thank you for the question. Without doing any detailed modelling, we have 63 lots, which most of them would be anticipated to be single dwellings. If we doubled that, it would be 120 people, I guess, but we could probably come back with a more fine-tuned number. It's hard to know without understanding what household demographics will occur once it's developed, I guess.
For sure. And through you, if I could, Mayor, just to follow up regarding the questions that put forward in terms of infrastructure and changes, you know, to a town. Is that something of the responsibility of a development like this?
Through you, Mayor. It is in terms of the servicing infrastructure, roads, drainage, power, water and sewage, and probably NBN or telephone connection, I guess, internet. That's to be provided by the developer at the time. In terms of further community infrastructure, what we do is model that through our structure planning process, which in this case it's the Port Fairy and Coastal Structure Plan. And during that amendment process as well, we also refer to the relevant ministers for, say, health, for education, for roads and the like. And they provide a response back to the amendment, which we must consider at the time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Gleeson.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Roisland, I just, because I take this seriously,
Yes.
you mentioned probably poor communication from council in relation to this development. Can you just elaborate a bit on that?
For communication.
Well, with you know, you've mentioned everyone you've spoken to is against this. How have we not communicated adequately?
Oh, well, okay, if you want to go that way, I didn't even want to mention it because I thought I should do it in private. When originally we were told, oh, the council it's going to be a presentation. It was at the bowling club, and I rolled up there along with a lot of people, and most of the people got outside afterwards and discussed what hadn't happened. It's supposed to be consultation in my mind, is a two-way thing. It's not you're going to do this. We're not in the German Navy or something. And so at that particular facility, all we were told was this is what we're going to do. Now, if you asked a question like, oh, what about this? And some people had concerns about road access, all sorts of things. They were all told, all of us were told, oh, just put a submission in if you've got a problem with it. So that wasn't a two-way communication. In reality, it was telling you if listen to what I'm selling. If you don't like, put a submission in. That's not. I don't see that as consultation.
Only because I want to clarify my own mind, because this process has been going on since I was a councillor, and there seems to have been, I think, Ms. McDonald, was 89 submissions in relation to the. You know, I was just wondering. To me, I would have thought the public have had a fair chance to have a submission.
But I can understand you thinking that, but in reality, it didn't happen at the first when in the original dialogue. It may have happened since on a one-on-one basis, but you know,
just further, you know, you're concerned about increased population. How do you cope in January, like when the town actually swells to 10,000, and then, you know, like in March when we have the folk festival, and you know, there's up to 15 or more thousand in the town.
Yeah, we do. And I see we're going to have another festival this year as well. There's quite a few, as you know. Whilst it's difficult, you know, during the folk festival, people can't park out in front of their houses because people leave their cars there for the whole weekend and that sort of thing. But on a normal basis, it's hard enough to get parking down the street. I know recently, about 2 years ago, you redid the parking, and they're a bit smaller, but okay, we can fit in. But are you going to these people that are going to live in this estate, whether they're 60, if they're all single, and I doubt that. I would have thought there'd be more like a couple of hundred people, and they can't walk into town unless they're athletes. They're going to have to drive, and I can't see any planning where we're going to put the extra parking. I mean, to me, it's logical when you put forward a proposition that you have plans that address these issues, not afterwards, but before.
So on that point then, Ms. McNamara, throughout this process, you mentioned, you know, the government bodies that have all been involved through it, the catchment management authorities, the CFA, or you know, education, all of those people are aware of what's happening in Port Fairy or proposed to happen. And was there any objections or you know, conditions, whatever, that would not support this in relation to the proposed population or the development?
Through you, Mayor, it's my understanding, no objections. Minister, in relation to the traffic and roads, obviously had some specific criteria that they wanted addressed. The CMA or the Traffic Management Authority of the same. In terms of health and education, no objections were provided from this.
Thank you.
Could I add to that? I went to the school and said, hey, how will you accept more students? They said, no one's approached us, no one's even asked. I just assumed that they can do it. I haven't seen any evidence of anyone from Shire planning approaching the school. So just say that it's in the plan.
Please, Peter. Yeah.
Sorry, I finished, yeah.
Any further questions or discussion with Mr. Roysley?
Yeah,
Yes.
got a couple. Thank you, Mayor. Thanks for your concerns.
Yeah.
Now, to me, it seems like what comes first, the chicken or the egg?
Mm.
I mean, is it our job to go to the schools and say, do you need more students? And therefore, we'll provide a subdivision.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got notes here, CFA schools, SES, Marine Rescue Volunteers, maybe a small bus, public transport bus service. They're all in need of people. I mean, Port Fairy, we have trouble now with students. So what do? Do we sit back and wait for people to come screaming, or do we rely on developers to produce the blocks and the houses and the people? So a lot of these community, I suppose, organisations can survive. You know, we've been told that the school numbers are dropping.
Mm.
So what happens if we did nothing? The school would close. So, you know, back to the egg and the chicken business, let's provide the housing. And I believe that'll be young families with children, and they'll keep the school going. I mean, the education department won't even get sense out of them.
Councillor Lucas, please.
No, it is a question. I'm just saying, you know, what needs to happen first? So I see it as a positive.
Yeah, there is. Can I just talk?
Yes, of course you can.
Well, I've been on South West Health Board. I've been on a number of hospital boards, and I know that the medical clinic now, if you want to see someone, you've got to book out nearly a month ahead, or they'll send you out to Macarthur. I haven't seen that they need assistance, and it's not the Shire's job to help doctors get more doctors in. It's a clinic's proposition, but no one's asked what they need or can we give you assistance. That this isn't a medical clinic, and I know in Warrnambool it's a problem too. It's a problem everywhere getting medical staff. But with your school analogy, that yes, housing will bring children. I mean, I've lived Derrenallum and Lismore. The community lost a lot of students when they put forestry through there. They closed down the little farms. The school nearly had to close. So I understand what you're talking about with schools. But then again, someone should at least ask the school or forewarn them, or saying, "Hey, look, I don't know if they're set up to question the Shire proposals."
Yeah, well, I don't know whether it's our job to talk to the education department or not, but
I think we could keep the question.
yeah, well, like I said, I don't know if it's our job or not, but with more people coming, I can see in not too distant future, maybe the need for a secondary school. But unless we get development, and I don't mean to flog Port Fairy like the CBD and build it out 3 stories, 5 stories, but we do. Otherwise,
Mayor, just a point of order. We've got 2.6, which is a discussion on this topic, which I think that's where we should go.
yeah, but I'm seeking this gentleman's opinion because it's nice to get, like you said, consultation was an issue, and it's nice to get someone's opinion, someone who's willing to come in here and express their views. So that's all I'm asking.
Thank you. Any further questions, please, Mr. Roysley? If not, thank you. And this will be brought forward to
Expressing the views. Thank
you.
Thank you.
Can I leave you with one thought? What would have happened if you'd have put a retirement village out there instead, which is what we really need, but no one's ever thought of that.
Next.
I think we're over time.
It's going to happen next.
Is it? Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Now joining us online, we have Ms. Robin Jeans. Do we have waiting for the connection.
Hello.
Miss Jean, can you hear us?
Can you unmute them, Jared?
Miss Jean, can you hear us? Waiting for your presentation.
When's the footy start?
We're gonna have to move on there if we can't get a, give her another minute.
Yeah. Ms. Jeans, can you unmute yourself? Oh, there you are. Thank you.
She'll still need to unmute
Yes,
herself.
could you
Still on
please,
mute.
we can't hear you. I'm sorry, we can't hear you. We seem to have a connection problem.
He's asked her several times to unmute.
Would you please unmute your device? Look, I'm sorry, we can't hear you, Miss Jean, so we'll have another few seconds.
Yeah, we'll have to move.
Look, unfortunately, we can't hear you, so we'll have to move on, I'm afraid. Right, thank you. It was unfortunate that these things happen. Thank you. I call for a motion to resume standing orders and that the order of business be changed to hear item 2.6 next. Would some seeking a mover of that, please? Moved by Councillor Gleeson, seconded by Councillor Foster. Thank you. Thank you. Now, if I could pass on to Ms. McNamara, the Director of Environment, Economy and Place. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Councillors, Amendment 675 is ready for a decision in relation to the panel report that has recently been received. Amendment C75 proposes changes to the planning scheme in terms of zoning, and it also proposes a concurrent subdivision layout and permit of approximately 63 lots. The amendment has been with us for quite some time now and did receive about 89 submissions to the amendment, and council then referred the amendment to panel for assessment. The submitters that presented to the panel there are 4 of them, with an additional couple of submitters late. And the panel, after hearing the submissions and going through the relevant issues, has provided a recommendation that the amendment proceed. And our recommendation also recommends that the amendment proceed. We'll open up for questions if that's okay.
Thank you, Ms. McNamara. Are there any questions to Ms McNamara regarding planning scheme amendment C75, please? Councillor Mead.
So thanks, Mayor. Just Ms McNamara, in the report it mentions a bit about an interface zone with the neighbouring Sun Farmer industrial site there. Could you just tell us a bit about that, please?
Through you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Mead. The interface is in relation to the proximity to the Sun Farmer business. There is a buffer that has been incorporated into the planning scheme that ranges between 300 and 500 metres. The lots proposed and the treatment and response by the plan to that buffer has been designed.
Thank you. Councillor Lockett, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I've got a few questions, if that's okay, Mayor. Feel free to pull me up if I go over 5 minutes. Just some questions, particularly regarding drainage and flooding. Understand that these have been rigorously tested at panel with specialist experts. Is that correct? And have they all kind of concerns regarding drainage and flooding been met by the panel?
Ms McNamara.
Thank you, Mayor. I might refer to Ms Regent to advise on those techniques.
Ms Regent.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor. The panel did hear from experts who provided evidence in relation to the impacts on flooding and drainage of the proposal. The experts provided advice about a way forward, a design that would be appropriate for this site. They met in a conclave to discuss that and presented their findings to the panel. The panel took that advice on board, and the proposal in front of you now reflects the recommendations of the experts.
Thank you. Councillor Lockett, do you have more questions?
Yeah, thank you. Just a couple more. One is regarding a bit of an explanation about the Sun Farmer kind of concerns and a buffer, and that might be a two-stage kind of process to the properties that are closer to Sun Farmer. You can just explain that a little bit for, obviously for myself, but others listening at home. Thank you.
Ms McNamara or Ms Regent?
Mayor. In response to that issue, there are a couple of matters that the panel heard from experts on in relation to acoustic and odour, potential acoustic and odour impacts in that area immediately adjacent to the Sun Farmer site. The panel concluded that the proposal could go ahead as proposed with some mitigation measures incorporated into the permit. So the permit reflects the recommendation of the experts in relation to that interface area. It recommends that, and this is incorporated into the draft permit that you have before you, it recommends that an assessment of appropriate mitigation measures to be incorporated into the building design for those buildings in that area be prepared, and those buildings then be constructed in accordance with those design requirements. So while there might be some particular ways to build within that area that will address the issues that are relevant to that interface area. They will be fine-tuned, and they will be anybody who owns a site in that location will be required to comply with those requirements.
Councillor Lockett.
Thank you. And one final question, if I could, is just regarding contribution to open space. Obviously, developers are, required to do a 5% contribution. Is there going to be a playground or obviously adequate kind of open space as part of this subdivision, please?
Ms McNamara.
Through you, Mayor. The open space contribution is incorporated into the subdivision layout through provision of land and parkland, I guess. If there is any further embellishment of that parkland, we will seek to work with the developer on that.
Thank you. No more questions from me. Thanks.
Councillor Gleeson?
Thanks, Mayor. Just to the planning. Within the amendment, there's a desire to change the zone from general residential to neighbourhood residential zone. So given that there's already residential on the adjoining highway plots, what does that change mean? Or
Thank you, Mayor. There's a difference between general residential zone and neighbourhood residential zone. A general residential zone is what you would find in a suburban development. The neighbourhood residential zone provides scope for neighbourhood character to be incorporated in the design of built form, such things as limiting to a 2-storey height and certain things like that. It provides a little bit more character response on behalf of the proponent.
so does that give council or well, as the local authority, does that give us some sort of control over, you know, the potential development?
Yes, in terms of the neighbourhood character, yes.
So could I just follow up?
Yes.
Please, Mayor. So, you know, the concerns raised today talk about, you know, all of a sudden, if this proposal gets the go-ahead, there's going to be 65 houses arrive tomorrow. You know, we're going to have I mean, maybe Mr. Davis, with your background in planning, what would be the time frame if you know, as for a development like this?
So through you, Mayor, any development of this type of scale is going to be a staged approach, and they would go in small stages as the development proved, sort of was approved. So I would roughly say you're looking at a 3 to 5 year time period where they will progressively roll out. They certainly wouldn't all appear overnight, and that's not the way it would happen. It does benefit from the fact that it is one sole developer that owns that, so it would be quicker than if it was several developers, but that'll purely be at the control of the developer should council approve it. 3 to 5 years would be my estimate.
Thank you. And just finally, if I can, as a council, we decided to go to panel, which probably took a lot of responsibility away from us, which is okay. I just guess, Ms. McNamara, through the panel process, that has the developer, I guess, satisfied all the things that's been asked of him?
Ms. McNamara?
In terms of the process and the required statutory documentation, including fees paid and delivering outputs from feedback and submissions, including the panel hearing itself, expert witnesses and the like, yes, as much as I'm aware of, yes.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone? Yes, Councillor Foster.
Thank you, Mayor. Excuse me. Ms. McNamara, one of the common themes in the objection, among some of the objections we've received, was around the density of the proposal. In your opinion, how does the density of this proposal compare with other more recent developments in Port Fairy in terms of lot sizes?
Good question. The current proposal at 63 lots is coming in at about an average lot size of 530 metres squared. We modelled that over a per hectare ratio, which brings us at about 18 dwellings per hectare. If we compare that to a like subdivision or lot layout elsewhere in Port Fairy, for instance, South Beach, where the average lot size might be 430, 450 metres squared, we're coming in at a breakdown of about 20 dwellings per hectare, which is a higher density. I might defer to Ms. Regent. We've done some modelling on the original proposal, which was 75 lots. Has done some calculations on that.
The original proposal was 75 lots, and at that rate, with that number of lots over the site, The average is about 450 square metres per lot, which is about 22 per hectare. So with the revised layout that was developed through the process, in response to some of the questions that arose, we now have we can now have less lots over the area and a higher square metre, area for each lot on average.
Thank you. Any further questions? Yes, councillor Duke.
Without trying to sound like a high school English teacher, on point 1 under the recommendation, the word considers sounds like we're going to consider. Will we change that to considered or having considered?
We can.
Does it need to be? I just reading it says considers. Well, we've already done all that.
Either way works in terms of solution.
Maybe or I just don't want someone out there who's pedantic on words to come back at us.
We can.
Thank you, councillor Lucas. Any further questions or discussions, please? If not, I'll seek a move of the motion 2.6, please. Moved by councillor Dukas, seconded by councillor Mead. Councillor Dukas, as moved, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, as discussed today and in the past workshops and over the last few years, it's finally come to the pointy end of the council's part in this. I'd just like to thank everybody that's participated in it, the planners, the councillors, those objectors, those in support, etc. I believe it's a great outcome, not only for Port Fairy, but for the Moyne Shire itself. It'll help keep the rates down. And I know how some people like to harp on or bash rate capping, but I'm a great believer in rate capping. This will help keep rate capping where it is. I'd like to congratulate Mr. Hearn on his, I suppose, vision. We've heard from a public participant today with a few issues, but they can all be overcome going forward. And I think overall, it's just a great outcome for all concerned. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Dukas. Councillor Mead, a seconder, please.
Oh, reserve, thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Does any councillor wish to speak against the motion? Councillor Lockett, sorry.
I was going to speak for it.
Sorry.
Is that okay now? Or yeah.
No, speaking for the motion. Sorry, I didn't see the little hand up there, councillor Lockett.
The little Simpsons yellow one. Thank you, Mayor. It's been a tricky kind of long journey, I think, with this subdivision. And as Councillor Dukas said, congratulations to everyone involved. I think it's been a very rigorous process. And as Councillor Gleeson spoke about before, taking it, I think, to a panel has assisted me with, there was a lot of concerns that I had. And I think the proponent has done, above and beyond the call of probably what's required. And, in terms of the questions I asked before about drainage and Belfast Lock and flooding and road access, and, there's so many different questions. They have all been met and answered. The lot sizes have been reduced, so it's to 63, average size of 530. As Councillor Dukas also said, Port Fairy's at a turning point where the house prices have gone through the roof, but we still need volunteers. We need schools numbers. Both schools, primary schools numbers, I think for the first time ever have dropped this year. So we do need more families in town. So, this subdivision, whilst, some mightn't be happy with it, the town needs more housing. There's no blocks available in Port Fairy because, most of the town on that side is ocean. So in terms of landfill, the strategic development work we have done over the past few years supports this type of infill. So whilst, as I said, I had a lot of concerns with this development, and I take the view sometimes of the cynical person in Port Fairy that doesn't want things to change. We do need some type of change in order for the town to flourish and have a local town, but also a town that supports tourism and things like that. So I do support this
Lost
motion.
connection, councillor Lockett.
Oh, okay.
You're back.
You're back.
I'm back. Yeah, I do support this motion. Despite all the difficulties with it, I think all those conditions have been met and it will help the town to keep flourishing as a thriving community. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Lockett. Councillor Gleeson.
Yeah, to speak for the motion, Mayor. I'm pretty public in Port Fairy and we get a lot of feedback. And make no mistake, there's a lot of people don't want to see the town change. But as a past president of the footy club and past president of the cricket club and chair of a local bank and all of these things, as a councillor, I want to look to the future. And it's quite a bit of a contradiction when a lot of the opponents to the development are talking about we need more doctors, we need more teachers, we need more nurses, and of course we do. Where are they going to live? You know, we need more directors, we need more councillors. Where are they going to live? And Mr. Hearn's proposal has presented us with a wonderful opportunity, I believe. And for me, it's about looking to the future. That's why I'm more than happy to support this application.
Thank you, councillor Gleeson. Councillor Foster.
Thank you, Mayor. I think, like Councillor Lockett, I've been on a bit of a journey with this entire process. Initially, the initial plan that was put before us was quite frightening to me as a Port Fairy resident and as somebody who was thinking about if you were planning a community from scratch, would it look like that? So I did have a lot of concerns along the way. And I listened very closely to the 89 people who took the time to make their submissions to the proposal against the proposal. And we did hear them. But I think the proposal that we're considering today takes account of many of their concerns. There have been lots of changes. We've heard about some of those today. Is it something new and different for Port Fairy? Yes, it is. But perhaps it's developments like this that will help to shine a spotlight on Port Fairy's historic heart and to remind us of how special those old places and spaces are. I don't think this kind of development detracts from that at all. But we heard today from Mr. Roisland, who's concerned about some of the negative impacts around additional population. Yes, I think there probably might be some growing pains for Port Fairy ahead. But my sense is that that's going to be a good thing. It's going to make Port Fairy a more vibrant, more dynamic village, more families to fill our schools and our footy teams and our cricket teams, and more volunteers and perhaps even more services. Perhaps it will attract more services for everyone to enjoy. I feel really lucky to call Port Fairy home. I really do. And having read the panel report very carefully, I now hope that this development creates new and more affordable opportunities for other people who would also like that privilege. So I'm happy to support the proposal today.
Thank you, councillor Foster. Any councillor wish to speak for the motion? Any councillor wish to speak against the motion? If not, I'll call on Duke.
Reserve.
Councillor
Mayor, the seconder, please.
Thanks, Mayor. Look, yeah, happy to speak in support of the recommendation 2.6, the Planning Amendment C75. It has been a long considered process for this council, and even coming previous council before this one as well. So it's been presented on numerous occasions through workshops, and it's had several goes at council meetings where it's been forwarded on to different planning authorities, etc. And after all that, it's came out to what it is now. I think it's pretty much exactly what is needed in Moyne and in Port Fairy to help facilitate all those that want to move to our great Shire and call it home. And Port Fairy is certainly a place that's in great demand, but at the same time, there's no doubt there's a need for more families to be coming and residing in Port Fairy for the sake of schools, for the sake of sporting clubs, community organisations, volunteer organisations all through. So this modern infill development will, I think, be a great result for Moyne and Port Fairy. And obviously at times I had concerns with the biggest employer in town, Sun Farmer, being next door, but I was pleased to see the planning panel make some recommendations to put some of those concerns at ease with regard to the interface zone. And now, assuming this gets passed today, I'll just urge on Planning Minister Kilkenny to act quickly and get this through her department as soon as possible, because the demand is real right now, and I think the sooner it can happen from a state level, the better it will be for Moyne Shire and Port Fairy. So urge council to support. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Mead. Councillor Dukas.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll be short, to the point. A great outcome for Port Fairy. I am sure that the councillors have done their due diligence, because we've been at it a long time. If passed, it'll get sent to the minister, maybe a covering note asking the minister to look upon this with urgency. And also what we're waiting for is the C69. So with these strategies going forward, I can see more people in Port Fairy on larger blocks on larger parcels of land considering subdividing. So this could bring a real big flow-on effect. So I recommend it to all my fellow councillors. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Dukas. I will put motion 2.6 to the vote. Those in favour, 4. Against, carried 6-0. Thank you. We'll move on now to item 2.1, the monthly finance report, December 2023. I'll call on the Director of Corporate and Governance Service, Mr. Ed Small. Thank you, Mr. Small.
Thank you, Mayor. Councillors, this is the routine and regular finance report. We did a comprehensive look at the budget about 3 months ago, and we are still tracking on line with what we had expected at that point. The monthly forecast variance is very minimal, and we have a good level of cash reserves on hand. And the underlying operating surplus, when you remove the anomalies of the Grants Commission money being received in advance last year, is favourable. So overall, I think it's a good outcome, where it puts us in a good stead for preparing next year's budget, which will be soon on our agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Small. Questions to Mr. Small, please. Yeah, councillor Mead.
Yes, thanks, Mayor. Mr. Small. So this report brings us up to the half-year mark of the financial year, which gives us an idea of how we've run for the first 6 months, and also maybe a bit of a revision of the forecast for the next 6 months. Could you just give it to us in a sentence, those how we've gone and how we're looking now ahead?
Thank you, Councillor. Through the chair. Basically, in a sentence, we have got cash investments available in December of 25 million, and our forecast balance for the end of the year is 21 million. And that is higher than we had anticipated to have it this year. And that's partially due to the fact we've had to delay expenditure. We've recognised we're going to need to delay expenditure in some of the carry forward projects. So there'll be money will be expended in the next financial year. So that's why we've got slightly more cash on hand forecast at the end of the year and at the present. So we're going well, Councillor.
Thank you, Mr. Small.
Longish sentence, but not bad. I'm good too. Thank you.
Thank you. Right. Any further questions or discussion? Mr. Small, please. Councillor Lockett.
Thank you, Mayor. My question is just regarding a bit of a project update, if possible, regarding the Port Fairy Playground and Skate Park, just how that's tracking. Thank you.
Ms. Farrell may be able to answer that. Thank you.
Thank you, through the Mayor. So good news, I can say by the end of this week, we should be going out with the design construct tender. We had a slight delay on that because we'd been working with the Department of Sport and Recreation, who had encouraged us to
withdraw our minor grant for $300,000 towards the project and submit to their higher grant of $1 million, which is very positive. It's not in the bag, but very positive outcome. So we've just had to adjust the tender documentation to account for that funding application, and we'll be putting that forward, but the construction tender will go out very shortly.
Fantastic.
Thank you, Mr. Farrell. Any further questions or discussions before I seek a mover? Just, yes, councillor Foster.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a query in relation to, again, an update, project update. The activation of the goods shed. We have promised that we would go out for community consultation to gauge people's ideas about how the goods shed might be used into the future. So we've got timeframes around that.
Thank you for the question through the Mayor. Yes, so we've actually just mapped out the consultation schedule for that. So it should be happening very shortly. And particularly, we also want to take that opportunity with the Port Fairy Folk Festival and other events that are still to come over the shoulder season of the holiday period to undertake consultation with various groups. So the consultation will occur. It will be a time frame of, Jodie, what we said yesterday with the consultant, about a month overall. And we will be looking to put that onto our Engage site. We already have some information up on that, our consultation site, but we'll go into full consultation now.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Farrell. Any further questions or discussions?
Thank you,
Councillor Davis.
To Mr. Small, can I ask him to delve into his crystal ball? On page 30, Mr. Small, in that little table of figures and the, I suppose the reporting next to it, the last one forecast surplus of 1.3 million, which is a bit of an increase. I think if I understand understand you clearly, we've taken a bit of a hit because of the way we did our budgets before, with grant money coming in, accounting for it 1 year and using it the next. Are you confident that we can meet that 1.3?
Thank you, Councillor, through the chair. Basically, the 1.3 is recognising that the 10.4 should have been received this year. It all depends on when the Grants Commission determines to spend this year's monies. So if they want to make their allocation for 24-25 in June coming, that's quite likely, and then we'll achieve the 1.3 as an actual result. At the moment, this is an adjusted result, as if it was to be.
As if it was going to happen.
So we don't know whether or not it's going to happen. We hope it's going to happen.
Right, yeah, I'm with you on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions or discussion? Yeah, Councillor Gleeson.
If I can, we've asked for finance committee to be upfront and honest with us to where we're at, and I looked at the summary there. Mr. Small start trying to give us that, and I think we can probably improve on it. Just conscious that we're going into budget, but more conscious that we're going to have a new council. And so I think that we need to be on top of all the figures over the next 6 months so that we can leave the Shire in a fantastic position for the next council as well. So I appreciate what you do, and you and your team. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gleeson. There's no further questions or Councillor Mead.
Mr. Small, just to clarify, since the last meeting, what's our current debt?
We have no more through the chair. We have no more formal borrowings. So we've repaid the full debt we borrowed previously of 2 million. We paid it off now. It's gone.
We're debt free.
Thank you, Councillor Mead. Any further questions or discussion? If not, I'll seek a mover of item 2.1, the monthly finance report, December 2023. Do I have a mover of that? Councillor Mead. Do we have a seconder, please? Councillor Gleeson. Councillor Mead as mover of the motion, please.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. I think it's always good when councillors have plenty of questions for the director on this, because it is a crucial part of our role is to keep track of where our council finances are. And I think over the period of time, we've kept a close conservative eye on our budget, and I'm pleased that's continued to do so. And part of that is being very cautious with debt, and we, within our means, borrowed an amount to see a good development and progress within the Southland Park Caravan Park, and that's been done now amongst a few other jobs around caravan parks. But it's pleasing to be able to be in a position to pay that off early, and once again be debt free. It's not to say there is good debt and bad debt. There could be opportunities in the future to go back into debt for a worthy project, but I think at the moment, given our strong cash holdings, it made sense to pay off that debt and have zero payments on liabilities. So happy to move this motion. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Mead. Councillor Gleeson, a second of the motion.
Thanks, Mayor. Just to support Councillor Mead's comments, but again to reiterate, we asked the team to be really upfront, and we want to know exactly where we're at all the time. And they've taken that on, and I appreciate that. As I said, we've got a challenging 6 months ahead to try and complete the task that we set for this year, but also to leave the council in a good position for the next council. And so I reiterate to Mr. Small and your team, thank you for the job you do.
Thank you, Councillor Gleeson. Any councillor wish to speak for the motion, please? Any councillor wish to speak against the motion, please? If not, I'll refer to Councillor Mead as mover of the motion, please. Councillor Mead.
Yep, pleased to be able to support the motion. Thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Mead. I'll put item number 2.1, monthly finance report, December 2023 to the vote. Those in favour 4. Against, carried 6-0. Thank you. Move on now to item 2.2, property framework and policies report. Mr. Small, Director of Corporate and Governance Services again. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Councillors, one of the matters the council has charged the officers is of bringing the policies up to date. So making sure our policies reflect modern practice. So we've taken an approach of progressively bringing policies through to the council meeting for them to look at. So the policies we're presenting here have all been all building on previous policies, so they're just updating them slightly. And we've put in place a property management framework to sort of overarch these policies. So we're asking the council to approve these amended policies.
Thank you, Mr. Small. Any questions or discussion, please? If not, I'll seek a mover of the item number 2.2, property framework policies report, please. Seek a mover, please. Councillor Gleeson. A seconder, please. Councillor Mead. Councillor Gleeson.
Thanks, Mayor. Just again, we're updated. I know as a part of the audit and risk committee, we like to see things be current. That's been a challenge for our staff in recent times, where policies have been outdated and the workload's been enormous, but we've asked them to get things up to date. And so this is now bringing the this policy, an overarching policy on other decisions that we make, current for the years 24 through to 28. So congratulations to the team on their work.
Thank you, Councillor Gleeson. Councillor Mead, a second motion, please.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Happy to bring this up to date and do policies and frameworks, as we should always keep the long list of policy and frameworks we have updated on a rolling basis. And this is particularly important because I think it's always following on from this. It's always opportune to review council's holdings of land across the Shire and see whether they're all still needed by our community. So this sets things up for a future bit of work on that. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, councillor Mead. Any councillor wish to speak for the motion? Any councillor wish to speak against the motion? If not, I'll call on councillor Gleeson as mover of the motion, please.
No need, Mayor.
I'll put item number 2.2, property framework and policy report to the vote. Those in favour, 4. Against, that's 6-0. Thank you. Item 2.3, governance rules. Again, I'll call on Mr. Small, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, councillors. Again, like the previous item, it's really important that we bring our policies, in this case, the government's rules, up to date. We have an election for a new council in the new year, so it's an opportunity for us to make sure that any updates are put through prior to them being elected. So we've taken the 2022, August 2022 policies, governance rules, and made some minor changes, including recognising that e-petitions, which are very important, and also then recognising the CEO's election policy period requirements. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Small. Any questions to Mr. Small? If not, I'll seek a mover of item 2.3, governance rules. Councillor Foster, and seconder, please. Councillor Gleeson. Councillor Foster as mover of the motion, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I love governance, which is definitely a dinner party conversation stopper. But it's not just revealed myself to be the most boring councillor. But I feel that these updates are timely. In not only have we got CEO matters to deal with, but also the bringing us into the electronic age firmly. And I think it's a healthy thing to look at our governance rules on a regular basis. So I'm very happy to commend this motion.
Thanks, Councillor Foster. Councillor Gleeson, for the seconder of the motion, please.
Thanks, Mayor. I agree with the comments of Councillor Foster. In light of the Salmon report last year, which is really having a crack at local government, basically. There's been some messy operators out there, and unfortunately, we've all been tarred with the same brush. And while we've got a fantastic council and we do a great job, it's really important that we are up to date with the requirements. And as Mr. Small mentioned, there's an election in October, so we need to have those in place for any incumbents that will come. It's all about transparency as well. And so this is a really important document, and updated now, it should give us a good way to move forward.
Thank you, Councillor Gleeson. Any councillor wish to speak for the motion? Any councillor wish to speak against the motion? If not, I'll call on Councillor Foster as mover of the motion.
Nothing further to add. Thank you, Mayor.
I'll put item number 2.4 to the vote. Those in favour, 4. Against, carried 6-0. Thank you. Move on now to item 2.5, news and social media policy. I'll call on Mr. Jared Woolley, communication and engagement coordinator. Oh, sorry, Mr. Oh,
Yeah. We're just on 2.3.
sorry, we'll move on. Sorry, we'll go back. Sorry, back on the wrong one. Move on to item number 2.4, the MAV 2024 standing for Council Program Overview. Again, Mr. Small.
Thank you, Mayor, councillors. We've considered this matter on our report stands.
Thank you. Any questions or discussion? Russell, Councillor Mead.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Just a question, Mr. Small, just to clarify the 3 different sessions we've got running in the area, across the Shire, sorry. 3 different sessions targeting different people, is that right? Is that how it's been put forward, Mr. Small?
Through the chair, yes, councillor. Basically, what we want to do is encourage candidates who might feel less comfortable in a broader session to have more specialised education sessions run. So we'll go public later with how we'll structure the sessions, but that's what we're proposing to do, is to have everyone welcome to come to any session, but we'll target some of the sessions slightly, as I set out in the report.
Any further questions, please? Yeah, Councillor Dukas and Councillor.
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Small, under financial implications, are we receiving $1,750 from the MAV?
Unfortunately, councillor, that we're required to pay.
We are going to pay.
Correct.
So if we don't want to pay, we don't do it.
We have signed up to pay, councillor, so I think that we believe it's a very worthwhile opportunity for us.
So we've signed up
It's for the MAV one.
for the MAV ones. Isn't that what we're doing here today?
We're talking about the overall program we're proposing to have, councillor.
Councillor Gleeson.
Sorry. So it wasn't a council decision whether we did or didn't. Or was that at last meeting?
Through you, Mr. Davis.
Just to clarify, Councillor Dukas, the recommendation is that councillors note our involvement in the MAV standing for election program and associated candidate support activities. So what Mr. Small is talking to there are the associated candidate support activities. We're already a part of the MAV session that's planned for Warrnambool.
Right, at a cost of 17 or thereabouts.
That's correct.
So it's not a council decision. We don't have to vote on whether we do it or not.
No, you do not.
It's your decision.
For you, Mayor, yes, that's an operational decision.
To the MAV.
Thank you. Councillor Gleeson.
Thank you. Just further to that, we've subscribed to be a part of the MAV standing for council at a cost of $1,750. I get that. So what are our obligations in the sense that by participating in that, we're allowing our ratepayers to basically come along to an MAV endorsed seminar. So why then the need for us to run 3 further workshops?
Mr. Small.
Councillors, we had discussed whether we felt it was worthwhile having some sessions in the 3 main centres of Moyne, so that we could provide an easier facility for interested candidates to attend. So this would supplement the earlier MAV session.
Thank you. Any further questions or discussion? If not, I'll seek a mover for item 2.4, the MAV 2024 Standing for Council Program Overview. Do I have a mover for that, please? Councillor Lockett. Do we have a seconder, please? Councillor Foster, thank you. Councillor Lockett has moved the motion.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, councillors, and thank you. I think this is a great program that we're running to. We obviously would, I think it would be wonderful to have a very, I think we've got some a diverse council in terms of our views, but in terms of gender and, minority groups, I think it would be, wonderful that this council is putting out there to provide a safe space where people can come and learn about running for council, and strongly encourage many people from diverse backgrounds and genders to apply and, come along and just have a chat and ask any of us. But also these sessions are a safe space where anyone can come and have a chat and learn about council and all the great things that council does. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lockett. Councillor Foster as seconder, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm actually delighted that Moyne will have its own sessions that are complementary to the MAV, the official MAV sessions. And we had some questions today about why we would do that. I think we only have to have a look around council chamber to know that we aren't the most diverse in many ways. As Councillor Lockett has said, we've got a range of diverse opinions, but diversity in itself is healthy for democracy. And I'm often told by people in my travels who might have been thinking about putting themselves forward to stand for council, but they can't see themselves in this room. They can't see themselves here. So I think this is a really healthy thing for us to do. It's making sure every person in Moyne has an opportunity to come and ask questions, to hear candid accounts of what life as a councillor is like. And I'll certainly be doing whatever I can throughout this year to support more people of all different backgrounds and all different genders, ages, all kinds of things, to come and think about standing for election in November. So happy to support this recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Foster. Does any councillor wish to speak against for the motion, please? Any councillor wish to speak against the motion? If not, I'll call on Councillor Lockett as the mover of the motion, please.
Thank you, Mayor, and very well said by Councillor Foster, our lone female councillor on the council. So as she said, we absolutely, need a more diverse council. So we'd strongly encourage people to come along and attend. It'll be fantastic. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Lockett. I'll now put item 2.4 to the vote. Those in favour, for. Against, carried 6-0. I'll now move on to item 2.5, news and social media policy. Call on Mr. Jared Woolley, Communications and Engagement Coordinator. Mr. Woolley.
Thanks, Mayor, and through you. This policy replaces the outdated news and social media policies and combines the two to form a clear set of guidelines and principles councillors and staff when interacting with news, media outlets and social media and on social media. The policy was brought before councillors at the November 2023 council meeting. We then went out and sought feedback from the community on the policy through a period of consultation via our Engage Moyne website, and that ran from November 29 to January 3. Was also available to leave feedback through customer service centres. The consultation was advertised through social media and in print media, but no submissions are received from the community. So the policy is back before you today for adoption as per the recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Woolley. Are there any questions or discussion involving item 2.5, please?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Woolley, do you see it as being strange that there were no submissions at all?
Through you, Mayor. Yes and no. It really depends on the content and policy. It's not unusual for us to see items like this go through with no feedback from the community. A number of the policies that were put up in around this time received no feedback.
Yeah, I would have thought you'd get something, especially in the online media, because some people seem to live online. I mean, something happens and within 30 seconds there's a response. It just, to me, I thought even half a dozen
Through you, Mayor.
would have been interesting, but
Perhaps it shows we got it right, Councillor Dukas.
yeah, you're on it. That's what I was thinking.
Thank you, Mr. Woolley. Are there any further questions or discussion, please? If not, I'll seek a mover for item 2.5, please. News and social media policy. Do we have a mover, please? Councillor Foster. A seconder, please. Councillor Gleeson. Councillor Foster as mover of the motion, please.
Councillor Dukas, I may be one of those people who lives online, I think. Not too sure.
I don't know because I'm never on it.
I'm not there. No, I think it's a really good document, and I'd just like to thank Mr. Woolley for the work he's done to put into this. We live in a very regulated environment as councillors, so it's not an easy thing to pull together a policy, an operation policy like that. So thank you for your work. Happy to commend it.
Thank you, Councillor Foster. Councillor Gleeson, a seconder, please.
Thank you. Congratulations to your team bringing this up to date. As you said, it replaces an outdated policy, so we need to be relevant, particularly in light of the Sand report. And it's a good timely reminder for us about the roles that we play as well, because they're pretty well explained in there as far as our codes of conduct and the mayor's responsibilities. I think that's good that we should be updated every now and then.
Thank you, Councillor Gleeson. Does any councillor wish to speak for the motion? Any councillor wish to speak against the motion? If not, I'll call on councillor Foster as moved the motion, please. Thank you. I'll put item number 2.5, news and social media policy to the vote. Those in favour 4, against carried 6-0. Thank you. Now move on to item 2.7, surplus goods and material policy. For Director of Assets and Community, Ms. Farrell. Thank you.
Thank you, through the Mayor. So this policy, councillors, is a new policy really aimed to formalise the process around donations, disposal of goods and materials where they're deemed surplus and of little to no monetary value. It really is a companion policy to the ones that you've adopted earlier today in terms of the asset sales and proceeds disbursement policy. We had brought this to you last year and then put it on out for public consultation. There was no feedback received, so I'm assuming we also got it right. Or people weren't interested in the content. So there's been no change to the draft policy following that period of consultation. The policy is really aimed to improve the transparency and equity around the process of the disposal or donation of goods and materials of little to no value, and really to address some of the potential risks and liabilities associated with that disposal. So it's here today for your consideration and adoption.
Thank you, Ms. Farrell. Any questions or discussion, please, on item 2.7? If not, I'll seek a mover, please. Do we have a mover for item 2.7? Councillor Dukas. Do we have a seconder, please? Councillor Mead. Thank you. Councillor Dukas, as mover of the motion, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, a new policy, I believe, and I'm glad that it's here before us now. I'm sure that there'll be a lot of interested parties out there, especially when it comes to used road making materials that we have stockpiled in various places around the Shire. Not only will help a few of the landowners get a bit of rubble to put around their troughs or driveways, going forward when we do roadworks, instead of carting 10, 20, 30 kilometres to dispose of the material, we've got a form that they can sign and we can then deliver that material right next door or just up the road. So a good outcome. As for the other goods that are surplus to requirements, if somebody wants them, well and good, because I don't think there's much of a monetary value. Otherwise, we wouldn't be giving it away or selling it for $20. I don't think there'd be anything we give away for, a few $100s they would have to pay. But going forward, it covers all those contingencies. And that's the policy that I'm glad we have in place. And I'm sure that it'll be used on a frequent basis.
Thank you, Councillor Dukas. Councillor Mead, a seconder of the motion, please.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. It is important to have a policy with regards to this, just to have it written down as to what the procedure is for our surplus goods and materials. So now everyone knows how it goes about and what the process is, if they should show any interest. So it's important to have it because provides a bit of structure around these goods. So maybe just second policy.
Thank you, Councillor Mead. Any councillor wish to speak for the motion? Councillor Gleeson.
In supporting it, I just note words like transparency and equity. We're covering areas and circumstances that were not currently covered. We're going to try and make sure that we're protected against scrutiny. There's been reputational risks in the past. So when you sort of highlight all those words within a policy, you say, we need a policy. So thanks for getting us up to date.
Thank you, Councillor Gleeson. Any councillor wish to speak for the motion? Any councillor wish to speak against the motion? If not, I'll refer to Councillor Dukas as mover of the motion, please.
No need, Mayor.
Thank you. I'll put item number 2.7 to the vote, surplus goods and material policy. All those in favour, for, against, Carried 6-0. Move on to item number 2.8, appointment of interim chief executive officer. Mr. Small again.
Yeah, councillor, this report has been explored with the councillors. We are suggesting that we appoint Mr. Peter Brown for an active period of, as acting CEO for a period of 3 months with a further option for extension of both parties.
Thank you, Mr. Small. Any discussion on this before I seek a mover? If not, do we have a mover of item number 2.8?
Through you, Mayor. Just one correction there. I resigned on the 27th of January, not February. Just so that we're not appointing a CEO ahead of when he needs to be appointed. Slight error there.
Thank you for the clarification, Mr. Davis. Thank you. Sorry. I seek a mover of item number 2.8, in appointment of interim chief executive officer. Do we have a mover, please? Moved by councillor Mead, seconded by councillor Foster. Councillor Mead is mover, please.
Thanks, Mayor. Happy to move this motion. We know Peter Brown well. He's served with the executive here in a fill-in role numerous times in the past 3 or 4 years. So he knows this. He knows councillors and he knows how the council operates. So I'm sure he'll fit into the interim CEO role quite well and be able to continue the good work and keep us forging forward as a council.
Thank you, councillor Mead. Councillor Foster, a second the motion, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, Ditto, I think Mr. Brown is well known to the organisation. Earlier today, we did meet as a council to discuss the process of appointing a new CEO as we go along. And I think it's been forefront of all of our minds that we ensure as much stability as possible. So Mr. Brown, I'm sure will bring that to us. He's a very safe and capable pair of hands. So happy to
Thank you, councillor Foster. Any questions or discussion before? Councillor Gleeson.
A decision that comes before us unexpectedly, but happy to support it. But more importantly, I'd like to thank Mr. Small, Ms. Farrell and Ms. McNamara for allowing us to make this appointment. All right, because I know we're going through a busy 6 months ahead, and I know that the budget's going to be our key role, focus, and I know that you three will have important jobs. And so what you've done by allowing us to do this is make our job a little bit easier. And I thank you for your understanding and appreciate all that you do. So well done.
Thank you, councillor Gleeson. Any councillor wish to speak for the motion? Any councillor wish to speak against the motion? If not, I'll call on councillor Mead as mover of the motion.
Yeah, nothing further to add. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. I'll put item number 2.8 to the vote. Those in favour, all. Against, that is 6-0. Thank you. Right, we'll move on now to 3.1. That is mayor and councillor activities. Any discussion, please? No questions or discussion? Just we'll move on to item.
Sorry, just one, but and we're all a part of it. But since our first meeting back, I just want to congratulate everybody involved in the long service awards and the the lunch that we shared at Woolstall. The staff, I thought, enjoyed it, and I certainly it gave me a chance to mix with people I don't meet or get to talk to. But congratulations to all who received awards, but particularly, it was a great day. It was a great recognition. So well done.
Thank you, councillor Gleeson. Any further questions or discussion on item 3.1? If not, item 3.2, councillor notice of motion. We have nothing prior to commencing this meeting. Item 3.3, please. General matters. Do we have any general matters? Councillor Gleeson.
Just a congratulations to the Roy MacArthur and Portrait cricket clubs. We have a lot of visitors to town over in January, and they come together every year and put on a fantastic show in the form of a 10x10 big bash, and very, very well attended. But to have the 3 community clubs from within the Shire come together and put that on, just a terrific event. and a lot of participation from the caravan park, so that was good. Just secondly, a comment, I guess, received a lot of feedback from people in relation to the Australia Day award ceremony on Friday, which was a fantastic ceremony, and congratulations to yourself and the Deputy Mayor. You know, to bring 9 new citizens, Australian citizens, into our community is awesome. And to support industry, and I think probably the dairy industry is the major beneficiary through that. What a wonderful thing, you know, for us as a Shire. And I know we do it twice a year, but to welcome those new citizens into our Shire was just awesome, and it was well done. I did receive some comments and feedback in relation to the empty flagpole that wasn't flying the Australian flag, and there was particular upset from RSL and some return service, particularly a couple of Vietnam vets, and also some comments from past Australian, our Citizens of the Year award winners. So I'm not casting blame. I'm just saying that it's something that we should look at, because until it isn't, Australia Day is. And it was just some comment back about that we didn't fly the Australian flag on the village green. So
Thank you, councillor Gleeson.
Through you, Mayor.
Yes.
If I could just add to that. Thank you for the comments, councillor Gleeson. As we discussed, council did fly the flags from its appropriate flag poles, which are at the front of its council offices in both Mortlake and Port Fairy on the day. We understand the question we've raised, and we'll look into it with regards to the fact that that is a community flagpole and has been generally personed by the community every year, bar this year. So we'll look into as to why that flag didn't fly on that day, but we've met our requirements with regards to the flying of the flags on Australia Day.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Any further general matters? Councillor
Thank you,
Davis.
Mayor. Mr. Davis, you called it a community flagpole. Can we find out exactly who's in charge of it, please? Because it just seems if anybody can go and get the key, fly a flag, then who knows what sort of flag gets flown. I think we need to quantify exactly who's in charge of flagpole, just in case some radical group come along and want to fly, well, the Nazi flag for a start. They're always in the news about something. Do we really want that to happen?
Through you, Mayor. We will look into that, councillor Dukas, but from my recollection, it has been mobs. It's been groups such as the Lions Club and the VIC, who have had the flag. So when there's been a whale sighting, the whale flag goes up to let people know that there's whales at East Beach, and the Lions Club have used it every year that I've known to fly the flag on Australia Day, as they run the barbecue as well.
True. No, and
so no one else has keys to them, but we will double check.
Yeah, because I mean, who's to say that some radical group can't go into the Tourist Information Centre and ask for the key to fly their flag because they've got made up a story about a national day or something, and next minute we got all hell breaking loose.
Okay. Any further general? Councillor Lockett, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, councillors. Can I just make a suggestion that we add an additional flagpole and we fly the Aboriginal and Australian flag on that day? I think that would be a great thing to do. I just wanted to highlight it also on the 25th of January, the healing ceremony that took place up at Peace Soup. It was very well attended. Brett Clark, big shout out to Brett Clark and Ashley Cousins spoke. Obviously the Mayor spoke as well. I thought it was a brilliant event, very well attended. A few hundred people I think would have been there. It was a fantastic ceremony and a real privilege to bear witness to such a beautiful ceremony. Also a shout out to the Orford Vintage Rally. Councillor Dukas, I presume you were there. I was overseas at the time. Were you there? It was a very well attended event. Yeah, it's a cracker. And the
bib and brace and rubber boots.
And the Croydon Truck Show was an absolute winner as usual here too. So big shout out to those great community events. And I think we're, doing the right thing in that space, with the healing ceremony and the Citizens' Day. So thank you.
Thank you, councillor Lockett. Any further general matters, please? Councillor Foster.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm not sure if this is the appropriate place to raise this, but I will. Noting that today is our CEO's final meeting with us as CEO of Moyne Shire, and I guess wanting to thank him for his 4 years with us as a director and then as a CEO, and to acknowledge the input and the value he has delivered for us. And to wish him all the very best in his new role as the Cross-Border Commissioner. And I hope he'll be a long-term friend of Moyne Shire. And it's good to know that we've got friends in high places. And I wonder if, with your indulgence, Mayor, if we could ask our CEO if he has any reflections of his time with Moyne Shire.
Mr. Davis.
Through you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Foster. Look, it's been an honour to represent Moyne. I think this is my 52nd meeting in my time here, so got over the half century through being director or CEO. I've appreciated the support of all the councillors that I've served with. Look, there's been numerous achievements, and they're off the back of the teams that I've worked with. So I big, in particular, thank the executive teams that I've served with, particularly the current ones, but also the past members. I think back to starting out at Moyne and the challenge that was presented with us with the COVID response. And I think as a Shire and with the councillors, we responded probably as one of the better councils in the state. Staff didn't lose jobs. Businesses were supported through economic initiatives. It was a really strong and considered and combined response that could only be done with the support of the councillors. Look, the Shire is well placed. I've said that in my outgoing sort of remarks just recently. I think, as evidenced by today, we're really catching up on a governance sense and doing a great job there. We're reviewing the policies, putting them in front of you, and also we're well placed for any further headwinds. I think about my upcoming role and as a cross-border commissioner, and Moyne is surrounded by 5 municipalities, so I'm used to dealing cross borders. It's been certainly something that I'm akin to, and working regionally with our southwest compatriots in particular has been an absolute pleasure. And that's probably enough from me, but thank you for giving me an opportunity to say something in that regard. I think seeing things such, just even in the last month, the opening of the Goods Shed and the Twilight Market, some long-standing things, the skate park that's well in train, and exciting outcome, the tireless work that our events team do around events. I'd also like to thank, in particular, the support of Jared and our executive supports, particularly Kathy, Leslie, and everyone as well, for keeping the offices running, keeping the news turning, and keeping the Zoom zooming. So thank you all very much, and I will look forward to seeing Moyne progress from afar as a resident. There have been many questions about whether I was moving on. People are that excited for me to leave town as well. I can't give you that. I will be around the town, but I look forward to seeing you at other events into the future as a resident of the Great Shire of Moyne.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. And I'd also like to endorse Councillor Foster's words and best wishes from the Moyne Shire in your new role moving forward. Thank you. Right, we've got the...
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, but I had more questions.
Go for it, Councillor.
Thank you. Yeah, as discussed in workshop, could Mr. Davis explain what we're going to do about curtailing the high instances of dogs on the beach? I'm sure we've all had concerns or communication from concerned residents.
Through you, Mayor, yes, it's certainly been a busy summer for people not reading signs. The Shire does its best to make it known that there are no dogs allowed on beaches during the peak period that we're currently in. We're a Shire of limited resources in many respects, and we only have a handful of rangers that have to patrol all 5,500 square kilometres of the place. We'll be reviewing this summer. We'll be looking at particularly the signage to make it somewhat clearer and putting a contact number on there. And in response to that, we would also ask people to also be vigilant, and it's okay to ask someone to perhaps put the dog on the lead and get them off the beach. We understand not everyone's that comfortable to do that in some circumstances. I do think that the incidences drop right off as of this time, as a lot of visitors leave the town. But we're certainly going through a period of review now as to how the signs can be clearer going into next summer and that peak season. Councillor Dugas.
Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Dugas. Yeah, councillor.
Councillor Dugas' next question was the to do with the plovers, was it?
It was.
You know, we're receiving communication in relation to the plover. I'll take it.
That's all right. Don't get too excited.
I know, you know, people are taking it upon themselves to barricade areas and things. You know, like we've sought qualification on council responsibilities on a myriad of things today. Whose responsibility is the plovers?
Through you, Mayor, thank you for the question, Councillor Gleeson. Our understanding is that the plovers are a state-controlled issue, so Parks Victoria or the Marine and Coastal crew are the ones that are responsible for that. There has been some discussion across notice boards and the like. There are community groups that, as I understand it, peg out the areas where the plovers are nesting and where they lay eggs. However, that is not an enforceable action under the council or our rangers for those particular areas, but it is via the state, is our understanding.
Thank you. Any more questions?
So, clarification, would that mean that Councillor Foster is responsible, being on the coastal council?
Through you, Mayor.
I'll take that as a yes.
All care, no responsibility.
Fair enough.
Any further questions to our CEO? If not, that concludes our ordinary council meeting.
No, through you, Mayor, that was general business.
CEO meetings.
Activities report.
CEO's
We're up to item 4.
My apologies. Yeah, sorry, I thought they merged together. Sorry. Mr. Davis.
Look, thank you, Mayor. I probably covered a bit in that in the section prior. I was on leave for part of the last part of the season. I do thank Jodie McNamara for her work over a very busy period as acting. I commend the report to you, and I'm happy to take questions.
Any questions, Mr. Davis, please?
Is
Yes,
this
Councillor
activities
Gleeson.
report or? Yes.
Councillor Gleeson.
Thank you, Mayor.
Councillor Davis.
I just want to go back to your comments, Mr. Davis, and I think perhaps you could highlight a little bit better or more the significance of what has been achieved through you and your team in relation to C69, C70 and C75, because 2 of those were 10 or 12 years in the making, and C75 has been on our desk for the last 3 years. So perhaps just the input, the contribution of your team and the significance of those three government documents.
Through you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Gleeson. Yeah, look, somewhat full circle and quite satisfying that Council's decision today with C75 sort of ending those 3 major pieces of work that I certainly had carriage of when I began, that had been in abeyance for a little bit of time. And they set up the Shire through rural and small lot housing across the Shire, and as well as then setting the framework for future growth for Port Fairy, particularly out to the west as well, which is the next great frontier in a Port Fairy sense, but also then throughout the Shire with the C75 announcement today. And I can assure residents that the planners have worked tirelessly on these amendments to work with agencies, to work with those that they need to regarding proper and orderly planning, which means when these things do arrive, the town can cope and the town can work with and grow with those developments accordingly. These aren't things that just come off the back of an envelope or from a whim. They are carefully managed and worked through and discussed with the community. So thank you, Councillor Gleeson, for allowing me to indulge there, as well as what I would say is I think the strong presence of the Economic Development Advisory Committee and then the forming of Commerce Moyne, also two ongoing legacy items for the Shire that will only continue to grow from strength to strength.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Any further questions on the CEO's activities report?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. To Mr. Davis, in relation to the Mortlake South Wind Farm, have the turbines been commissioned, please?
Through you, Mayor, it's our understanding that no, the turbines or the Mortlake South Wind Farm is not fully commissioned.
No. I thought you and Axiana made a statement at the last meeting that they were commissioned. I'll have to check that, but I'm sure that Axiana's made a statement that they have been commissioned. So you're telling me they're not commissioned?
Through you, Mayor, that's correct.
Okay. So until they are commissioned, there's no need to do any noise testing, post-construction noise testing.
Through you, Mayor, broadly, my understanding in this case is that they are doing their own testing of some of the ones that are starting to turn at this stage, but no, they're not required to do the full suite of testing until the wind farm is fully operational.
So the noise testing doing at the moment, they've changed from round one, they've renamed it ground zero testing.
That's my understanding.
Okay, so that's just their own testing for whatever reason.
Yes, and through you, Mayor, Director McNamara may have further information on that.
Okay, well, I can discuss that at a later date with McNamara. So, okay, now you've cleared it up, thank you. Not commissioned, and as reported, ground zero testing is going ahead, but that has nothing to do with fully commissioned wind farm doing its, I suppose, statutory requirement to do post-construction noise testing. And we have no idea when that will happen.
Through you, Mayor, it's our understanding there's about 7 turbines that still need servicing and repair. So the full component of the wind farm is not particularly operational. The requirement under a statutory framework is that the post-construction noise testing should commence 2 months after that construction is complete.
True.
So we're in a little bit of a grey area because there's more servicing to go on those and repairs on the 7 turbines. We're waiting for that to happen, but the department are aware of that situation.
So with all the complaints that are coming in, what happened to them? Or what's going to happen to them? Are they addressed by the Shire or are they passed on to the EPA?
In terms of noise compliance, the EPA is the responsible authority on that matter, but we will facilitate any feedback that we get through our office.
So do we have any responsibility in regard to noise except feedback to the people making the complaints and passing it on?
No, the EPA are the noise authority.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions or discussions on the CEO activities report? Councillor Foster.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Davis, just wondering about the co-working office space trial. I see we've had, I think, 1 or 2 sessions there. I might have read about. So we've had some interest. Your report says that we've had a couple of inquiries from remote workers staying in Port Fairy who've been travelling to Warrnambool co-working spaces.
Through you, Mayor, thank you for the question. That's exactly the case. So it saved them going into Warrnambool. Slow burn. It's a bit of a trial space, but the word of mouth is spreading. So I only anticipate that will increase.
just a follow-up comment on that, Mayor, if I can. I think it's something that people have been asking for a long time, so I hope the word does start to spread now. It's a great idea.
Thank you, councillor Foster.
One
councillor
more.
Duke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To Ms McNamara. I noticed that there's no, unless I'm gone blind, there's no mention of Morton's Lane wind farm. I don't think I saw it at the last council meeting either. It's operational.
Mayor, thank you, councillor Dukas. I'll definitely chase that up and provide any.
Because there were issues with some of the plans that were way behind schedule. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, councillor Mead.
Thanks. And just a question, CEO one. The page 27. Just wanted a bit of an explanation on the severe drop in the green waste deposit at Killarney.
Through you, Mayor, on the green waste. So as in the inert volumes, 218. Well, it's not too bad. It's only just slipped down from November. So perhaps people saved them up for January because they're on holiday.
Thank you, CEO. Just to follow up to that one, the work and play has gone quite well, 100% occupancy, which means that those obviously 2 years ago sitting there not doing much during the busy time of year, and now it's been used to great effect by at least 12 businesses. That I imagine would be planned to continue on in coming summers.
Through you, Mayor, thank you for the question, and it reminds me of the other initiative about key worker housing, which you've heard me bang on about for many years, and Moyne is an exemplar in that space. Absolutely, that program will continue, and will continue with council support, and the team will be also putting together a funding application as a part of the key worker housing guidelines to look to expand upon that at Southland Park Lodge, so that you can have some year-round opportunities, as well as still having the lodge for its facilities for school visits and the like as well. So yes, it's been a roaring success with a waiting list, and many councils have contacted us as to how you do it. And I do graciously say it's with the full support of council, that the council perhaps looks at things a bit differently in order to achieve a solution to a problem. And the businesses constantly clamouring with our economic development area for more rooms. So we're hoping we'll have a successful funding application that won't only be for more cabins in certain areas, but an extension to the Southland Lodge as well.
Thanks. And just lastly, I won't go over what others said, but just quickly like to thank you for your time at Moyne, and you've been a strong supporter of economic development and growth with the planning hat on, so they've worked quite well together, and thanks for your time. All the best for the future.
Thank you.
Right, any further questions?
Yeah, well, I'll just like to endorse fellow councillors' remarks. I'm sure that Mr. Davis and I have had some interesting discussions. I'm sure he was forewarned when he got the job. Look out for EV's trouble, all that sort of stuff. But I've enjoyed it, and I thank you sincerely for all you've done. Especially when you hit the planning department, we needed help, and you fulfil that position 100%. So, and good luck for the future. But just remind you that these housing businesses that we've got now, units, etc., we've got a patent on that. So when you get up on the board and they all want a copy, there's a fee coming our way.
Noted. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Dukas. Any further questions? Councillor Lockett.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I'd like to join in on the Love Fest and just do a big shout out to Brett. He's been an absolute planning guru, but an overall, through difficult times, to grab the helm and take us on a journey where we've needed to go. So I will miss his love of the Beatles and his good humour and his sideburns. So best luck for the future, Commissioner. Thank you.
Hollywood. That's a nice bit.
Thank you, councillor Lockett.
Thank you, councillor Lockett. Any further questions or discussions?
I'd just like to speak on behalf of councillor Purcell and myself and endorse all those comments from the previous councillors. Thank you.
We're gonna
I
start.
don't know if I'm going to miss it out.
Right, thank you. No further discussions on the CEO meeting schedule and activities report.
No, before you go into confidential, Mr. Mayor, I just note that we have a picture of the Queen at our Australia Day celebrations. We had one of King Charles. And we got a King Charles spare 2 or 3 to fill or grace our council chambers and halls, etc. Or will hall committees have to go and get their own?
Mr. Davis.
Through you, Mayor, I'm not sure whether the King's approved the bigger picture yet. He has. Okay. Well, we will get some. We will get some photos arranged of.
They're generally available through the local federal webpage for hall committees, etc.
Right, so the council are going to get theirs and replace that one or put it beside.
We would replace. So
That'd be
we'll
cool.
get that arranged.
But there's a great show on TV, mother and daughter.
Maybe we should get William up there.
What's he-
Any further questions or discussion? Obviously. If not, that concludes our ordinary council meeting. Thank you. And I call for a motion to suspend standing orders to consider the confidential agenda. Do we have a mover? Councillor Foster and a seconder, Councillor Gleeson. Thank you.